The only young men in the place were silent, gaping youths, at whom lunacy commissioners looked sharply and suspiciously when they met. The tango was unknown, and the one-step. The only form of dance extant, and that only at the rarest intervals, was a sort of polka, not unlike the movements of a slightly inebriated boxing kangaroo. Mr. Meggs's secretaries and typists gave the town one startled, horrified glance, and stampeded for London like frightened ponies. Not so Miss Pillinger. She remained. She was a business woman, and it was enough for her that she received a good salary. For £5 a week, she would have undertaken a post as secretary and typist to a polar expedition. For 6 years she had been with Mr. Meggs, and doubtless she looked forward to being with him at least 6 years more. Perhaps it was the pathos of his thought which touched Mr. Meggs as she sailed, notebook in hand, through the doorway of his study. Here, he told himself, was a confiding girl, all unconscious of impending doom, relying on him as a daughter relies on her father. He was glad he had not forgotten Miss Pillinger when he was making his preparations. He had certainly not forgotten Miss Pillinger. On the desk beside the letters lay a little pile of notes, amounting in all to £500, her legacy. Miss Pillinger was always businesslike. She sat down in her chair, opened her notebook, moistened her pencil, and waited expectantly for Mr. Meggs to clear his throat and begin work on the butterflies. She was surprised when, instead of frowning, as was his invariable practice when bracing himself for a composition, he bestowed upon her a sweet, slow smile. All that was maidenly and defensive in Miss Pillinger leaped to arms under that smile. It ran in and out among her nerve centres. It had been long in arriving, this moment of crisis, but here it undoubtedly was at last. After 20 years, an employer was going to court disaster by trying to flirt with her. Mr. Meggs went on smiling. You cannot classify smiles. Nothing lends itself so much to a variety of interpretations as a smile. Mr. Meggs thought he was smiling the sad, tender smile of a man who, knowing himself to be on the brink of the tomb, bids farewell to a faithful employee. Miss Pillinger's view was that he was smiling like an abandoned old rip who ought to have been ashamed of himself. "No, Miss Pillinger," said Mr. Meggs, "I shall not work this morning. I shall want you, if you will be so good, to post these 6 letters for me." Miss Pillinger took the letters. Mr. Meggs surveyed her tenderly. "Miss Pillinger, you have been with me a long time now. 6 years, is it not? 6 years. Well, well. I don't think I have ever made you a little present, have I?" "You give me a good salary." "Yes, but I want to give you something more. 6 years is a long time. I have come to regard you with a different feeling from that which the ordinary employer feels for his secretary. You and I have worked together for 6 long years. Surely I may be permitted to give you some token of my appreciation of your fidelity." He took the pile of notes. "These are for you, Miss Pillinger." He rose and handed them to her. He eyed her for a moment with all the sentimentality of a man whose digestion has been out of order for over 2 decades. The pathos of the situation swept him away. He bent over Miss Pillinger and kissed her on the forehead. Smiles excepted, there is nothing so hard to classify as a kiss. Mr. Meggs's notion was that he kissed Miss Pillinger much as some great general, wounded unto death, might have kissed his mother, his sister, or some particularly sympathetic aunt. Miss Pillinger's view, differing substantially from this, may be outlined in her own words. She cried as, dealing Mr. Meggs's conveniently placed jaw a blow which, had it landed an inch lower down, might have knocked him out, she sprang to her feet. "How dare you! I've been waiting for this, Mr. Meggs. I have seen it in your eye. I have expected it. Let me tell you that I am not at all the sort of girl with whom it is safe to behave like that. I can protect myself. I am only a working girl." Mr. Meggs, who had fallen back against the desk as a stricken pugilist falls on the ropes, pulled himself together to protest. "Miss Pillinger," he cried, aghast, "you misunderstand me. I had no intention—" "Misunderstand you? Bah! I am only a working girl." "Nothing was farther from my mind." "Indeed, nothing was farther from your mind. You give me money, you shower your vile kisses on me, but nothing was farther from your mind than the obvious interpretation of such behavior." Before coming to Mr. Meggs, Miss Pillinger had been secretary to an Indiana novelist. She had learned style from the master. "Now that you have gone too far, you are frightened at what you have done. You well may be, Mr. Meggs. I am only a working girl." "Miss Pillinger, I implore you—" "Silence! I am only a working girl." A wave of mad fury swept over Mr. Meggs. The shock of the blow, and still more of the frightful ingratitude of this horrible woman, nearly made him foam at the mouth. "Don't go on saying you're only a working girl," he bellowed. "You'll drive me mad. Go away from me. Get out. Go anywhere, but leave me alone."